Okay, hello, Gapsters, and welcome to the final session of the Leadership and Agile Summit. It has been a very, very good event, and we are honored to close it with a very special talk titled The Leader's Guide to Inclusive Impact Simple Tools for a Complex World. It is going to be presented by Itzel Espinosa. And let me tell you a little bit more about Itzel. Itzel is an HR professional and psychologist with a unique background in medicine. She specializes in fostering positive, inclusive workspace cultures and navigating complex dynamics. These are skills that she owned during her time working with a police department, known for her adaptability and a growth mindset. She's driven by unwavering focus on making things better for everyone. Beyond her professional expertise, Itzel is deeply dedicated to personal growth and is currently studying Let's Code to become even more inclusive. I don't know if I pronounce that right. In the meantime, you can correct me. She also enjoys dancing, reading, crafting with Miyuki, and spending time with her husband and their two rescued cats, Bakita and Agatha. So please join me in welcoming Itzel, and Itzel, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Cami. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. Today, the idea of this talk is to share with you things or tools that I have learned and that they could be really useful in today's world that is changing a lot. The idea is that you have the tools to become an agent of change and to move from just like good intentions to tangible actions. So I'm gonna start with a little bit about me, but a little bit more than what Cami just said. So I'm in the HR department. I like I have two cats and I love art and crafts. But I think what I love the most is to learn, to continue learning, and to help. About my professional journey, as Cami said, I started with medicine. I studied that, and after that, I studied psychology. And my first job was with the police department. In that job, I witnessed a lot of different struggles because I work not only with the police department but with communities, and I witnessed different struggles from them, a lot of bias and things that uh, make me feel that I need to do something different. And that's where I start working with groups to be more focused on inclusion and this kind of topics. Um, that also inspired me to learn sign languages because currently I'm finishing LESCO and now I'm working with deaf communities. So this talk is about my insights that I want to share with you about a course that I took recently in the UPEACE that it was called Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Workplace. And I don't want to keep all that to myself just like that. I want to share it, and maybe you can find this useful. And I hope you enjoy this space. So I'm going to start with something that is probably not related, or you think may be not related to that. And I don't know how many NFL fans do we have here. I'm one, so that's why I decided to go with this. Do you recognize these players? Yes, no, maybe. Well, if not, they're quarterbacks. They're amazing players. They're one of the most amazing quarterbacks, and they're awesome. They have a great arm. They're one of the best. But I have a question here. Do you think if they have a team just like of quarterbacks, would this team win? Maybe, no, yes. Yeah, I'll tell you something. Yeah, not at all. And that's right. But we have this other team. In here, we are not only have a quarterback, but we have linebackers, we have a kicker, we have a safety, we have a receiver, we have defense. So we have a full team with different skills. Every player will have different groups of skills and strengths that in the other slide with only quarterbacks, they train for the same skill because they're a quarterback, they're in the same position. So having this team with diverse strengths led this team to win last Super Bowl. And that's because they have a diverse group of people with different skills. So they can cover different areas of the field and of the game. Now, I'm going to move from the NFL to leadership and to inclusion and more applied in the workplace. I have another question. Again, yes, with thumbs up, no, thumbs down, and in this phase, if you're not sure. Do you think inclusion gives us a competitive advantage? Okay, yes. I'm glad to see a lot of thumbs up. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, and it's that yes, and it starts with us. Why it is a competitive advantage? Because if we have a diverse team, we have diverse groups that increase adaptability, that enhance problem solving, that will lead the teams to greater innovation, to be more creative, to try new things, new tools, to not be afraid of make mistakes. Um, and nowadays, in a world that is changing constantly, that is now focused on a lot of different things, that we have different markets, different customers, different people, this really will give us a really great advantage. So I'm going to share with you kind of a toolkit. These are a framework of 5 steps that we will continue, that we will review one by one. So I'm not going to mention them right now. I'm going to start. Okay, the first one. The idea from here is that you take this framework and try to apply it in your day-to-day. So I'm going to give you just simple things that you can do. The first step is embrace resistance. Resistance will be there. There's no possibility you will not have it. That will happen no matter what. And that's because we are all diverse. We're different. We have unique things. We believe in things and different things. So we are all different. And differences create sometimes this resistance. Sometimes resistance comes from fear, that you're afraid because you don't know what it's coming. Sometimes it's because people sometimes think that what they believe or the way they're doing things is the best way, and they're afraid. Again, we come to afraid one more time, and sometimes because they're just like, I'm not sure that I want this. This lens that you see here, but it's like with a lot of small things there. It's our unique lens, and that's it. It's our identity. We, every one of us, has a unique lens. It's the way we see the world. It's how we see things. It's because we learn something different, because we study in a different college, in a different high school. We grew up in a different city, so our lens is unique. So I cannot see through others' lens. I can try to understand how the other people is seeing the world, but I cannot see the same thing as they do because we all have this unique lens. And identity is how we have different things that made us be what we are. And this is interesting because we don't have one single identity. We may think that it is, but it's not that way. We change how we, for example, our communication is different, or I will give my example. Here, my communication will be different because I'm sharing with you information, but maybe in a party with my family, my communication, my way to tell things will be different. So that's how our identity change depending on the context we are. But with identity, there are concepts that come with it that they're really important to think about it. The first one is intersectionality. is the way of how we create unique experiences, um, how things combine and give us diverse and unique experiences. It could be the same that where we grew up in the same city, but maybe we have different friends, and that gave us something different. So it's very important to think about it because this will change again, depend on the context. And the other one that it's related to control and to power is privilege. Sometimes we don't think about this because if we're not affected, we don't even think about it. But I have here a question. Have you ever been asked in a job interview? I'm saying this in a job interview if you are planning on getting pregnant soon. Yes. Okay, I see one reaction there. Only Vero or someone else ever have received that question. Well, yeah, ideally. Lucky. But um, it's pretty sad that I tell you that for women, it's mostly common to have received this question. And research said that at least one, two of three women will receive that question, will be asked that question in a job interview. But for men, probably this is not something they feel related with because probably you will have been ever asked something like this. And that's a privilege because you're men. And that's a difference. It's there are those invisible advantages that sometimes they're invisible. That's why we don't know that they are happening. But there are some advantages that are invisible that are assigned to certain identities. So this is something like important that when we think about other something that we want to share with others, a process or how we communicate things, to remember that are we speaking from our privileges or not, or are we taking into account different um, communities, different perspectives. So this is really important to take into account. And the other thing here for the resistant to embrace resistance is that for include people, we need to offer them a safe space. We need to offer them a place where will they feel they belong, that they are listened, that they can speak up, that they can share ideas, they can um, try new things to innovate. So safety and trust, and that's why you see it goes one way and the other. It's because we cannot have one without the other. You need to trust to feel safe. If you don't trust, you're not going to feel safe. And if you have a team that is not feeling safe, probably you will have a team less creative, less innovative, less productive. And the reason is because they will be protecting themselves from all the threats that they feel or think may exist within the team. So that's why this is really important if we're talking about embrace resistance. And first, rebels of tools. What do you need to create a safe space in your team? As leaders, you're like the ones in charge of create this safe space for them. So you need to listen to them, ask for feedback, and receive that feedback. Um, um, Encourage people to share ideas, to try new things, to be part, to be creative, and then it's how you will create that safe space. Um, Another important thing here is when you're giving kudos, sometimes, usually, or sometimes, but I think usually we send a message. It's simpler. We think it's the best way to say, hey, congrats, you did a great job. But what if you just take at least 5 minutes to call that person and have a, a talk with them? and say, hey, I just wanted to call you to tell that I'm really impressed with what you did with your job. I want to give you kudos. Why is that different from the message? Because you are giving them something that it's really valuable, that is time. You take time to talk to them. And that's something that create trust, and they start building a more inclusive and cohesive team. The second step, co-create a vision. Sometimes things just start and we say, hey, yes, I like this. Maybe we can change this, and that's it. But we need to co-create a vision to include people in our teams to be part of that team, to listen those ideas, to listen those concerns also. And we have here 3 steps. Intentional actions. We need to start with that. It's like, okay, what I'm gonna do is not just saying that we're an inclusive team, not saying that, hey, yeah, this is a safe space. Yeah, but what are we doing to make that people really believe that this is a safe space and that what we're saying? Listen, again, they're like the simples, receive feedback. Do not just listen to fix things and give them like, okay, this is your problem. Yeah. Or maybe, I don't know, the client said that he needs, and a person needs to improve their communication. Yeah, this is your problem. You need to improve communication. Just do this. You're fixing something. You're not really listening to others. Listen, why they need to improve communication is something that person needs to do different. How can help that person to improve communication? So those are intentional actions. Integrity. This is really linked with boundaries, and it's about respect. You need to establish clear expectations. You need to be really clear to be able to say no, but you need to be honest. And if you establish boundary, you need to respect that boundary and not like say, okay, with this person, yes, but with this other, no, I'm gonna make an exception. And then the exception is only one that is respecting that boundary. So this is pretty important, having boundaries, but that everyone knows about those, that they know that they exist. And generosity. And also with boundaries, something important is that remember that if you offer something, you need to do what you offer. For example, if you offer to your teams, hey, I'm here for listening every time you need something, just send me a Slack message and I will be there for you. And then the person sends a Slack and you're really busy that day and it's like, okay, no, again, why you're asking me this? And then you say like, hey, go and look in that place. That's not integrity because you're not doing what you offer you will do. So that's pretty important. And generosity, it's about you have to think, even though if a person maybe didn't achieve a deadline or didn't achieve a goal or have some feedback, do not assume that they're doing this like in an intentional way or that they just want to bother you or be bad. Think being generosity is to think that everyone is doing their best effort, that everyone is doing the best that they can, and go and speak with them, talk to them, listen to them. So instead of criticizing something, listen them. Be curious about what's going on, what's happening. That will reduce defensiveness and will improve collaboration. So if you are willing to try this, I really recommend, and I hope you can do this. And all of the things will lead us to inclusion. The third step, get buy-in. I know it sounds like I'm gonna buy something, but we're gonna buy it's like people get involved with what do you want to get into that change mood. For example, right now we're good with AI, so we want people to work with AI. to innovate, to create different things. And here's this question: why inclusive leadership matters? Why is this that important? Why I'm talking about this? And it's because research said that inclusive teams are 1.7 times more innovative than the ones that are not inclusive. And also, they make smarter decisions, they're more agile, they adapt to change easily. So, we're going to have a lot of benefits if we can have an inclusive team. And why we need the buy-in? Because we need people to feel that there's a choice to be part of that change. Sometimes we don't have a choice, but we have to try to share with our teams, like, yeah, it's a choice. How, why don't you start with these? What do you think about it? Listen to them. Try to have, I don't know, time to share ideas, to share concerns about this thing that is changing or something that it's going on, this new process, this new way to do something, uh, even with one new team member. Because sometimes groups have their own identity. And when a new team member joins this group, it's really important to listen to this new person and to the group and to find ways to include this one, because it will not, this person will not have the same identity that the group has. So it's really important to try to open the doors to include people so we can have better teams that can win Super Bowls. And yeah, you as leaders, and if you're not a leader, you can do these too. But leaders have a more powerful influence in others. They shape the culture. They are the ones that can create this safe space for others. So that's why in this part, the buy-in is more in the side of the leader, because we want them to share the inclusion part, to be the ones that are with the intentional actions, that are the ones starting with listening other perspectives and respect others' perspective, even though if I don't agree with that, but it's important to respect. Then create a track record. This is we're now in a global context. Gap is a multicultural company. So we have people all over Latin America, in the US, in different countries. So we have different cultures, we have different ways of communicate things, and how we react to those communications also can be different. So it's important to clarify things, to have at least three things really clear for everyone. And third, people. It's set clear roles. What you're expecting from them, what you expect from this role, uh, and have a shared purpose. What's the goal of the team in this year? Also, processes. We need to have clear processes. What to do in this case, how we can work together, ways to work as a team. And technology, offer all the same tools to all your team. Offer tools for communication, open communication channels. Uh, these three things will help us to create a more organized team, to be clear about what is expected from everyone, and that everyone feels included. Because again, we have boundaries and we have like a set of rules there that will lead us. There was a concept that is really interesting, that is cultural humility, and is that we don't need to, we don't have to assume that my culture is the best, or that I know everything about other culture, because we will never know everything about the other's culture. And being cultural humble is to really know that we always gonna learn something about others, that we don't know everything and it's fine. So that's something important there. And then AI and DEIB. Here I'm gonna talk. Um, I don't know if you have the time to check, for example, the answers that some AI tools returns to you when you ask something. If you have checked that, probably you have seen that AI has bias, and a lot. But in this case, I'm gonna mention 44% of the more than 100 AI tools that were checked in this research said that 44% of those tools have sexist bias, and a 25% have sexist and racist bias combined together. For example, for a recruiting process, and this is the real example, not from Gap, but in a recruiting process, they have started to use an AI tool to check the CVs from everyone and to check all the people who want to join the company. And for several months, they didn't check why they only received men's applications. And they just interviewed them and continue with the process. And after a month, they checked if there was something going on there. And the reason was that this tool was filled with database, was created with a group of people with a bias. And it was that in technology, most of the people that work in this field are men. And the tool was filled with that database. So the tool assumed that when a name was from a woman, or they gave lower points. And that's why always all women get just lower points and will never be interviewed. So the AI tools will repeat the bias of the people who trained the tool. And it's really important to check, to have time to review all these things. If we're going to use, be really aware that, yeah, okay, is giving the answer we're looking for, or is repeating a bias like this, that just because of the name, it was not a possibility. And this happens also with inclusive language. For example, I don't know how many of you say, that's a blind spot. Well, I'm going to tell you, is non-inclusive word. It is a weak spot. And sometimes AI, if you try to write something related to that, it will give you blind spot. And it's because it's repeating a bias about how to write something, and will give us the same word, but it's a weak bias, a weak spot, not a blind spot. Because when we say blind, we're saying that people who are blind, they miss something, and we're putting them like they're lower, they have lower value. So that's really important also to check language. And in this, and also I was talking earlier about this other example, that in some messages you receive is like, "Hey, happy Friday," and they continue a message. And I found interesting that saying "Happy Friday" in a message that we're sharing with a lot of people is not inclusive. And the reason why is because we're just assuming that everyone feels happy in a Friday, that everyone is happy that day, and that may not be true. So we can change a happy Friday that may affect someone because they may be struggling, they could have personal problems, or we don't know what we're dealing in that moment, a challenge. Um, they may feel affected by that message because it's like an assumption that everyone is feeling happy in a Friday. So we can say instead of just happy Friday to say, hey, I hope you're having a productive Friday, or I hope you're having a good day. In that case, we're saying we hope, but we are not assuming that everyone is having a happy Friday. So those kind of things that may look small can really create make an impact in others, to affect others, uh, and to start like affecting the other steps like trust, like having a safe space. So it's very important nowadays with AI and using all these tools to check. You cannot delete the human oversight from your work, from everything. So please check um, things. Please review everything, not only for bias, but also for this language. And why creating a track record is related with this is like we have to share with others what we have done, changes that happened like in the past, what was done before, what how it had changed through time, and what we have been doing. In that case, when we share this information with our team, they feel safe because it will not be the first time that the things change, work change, technology change, and also we can change. So when we share these things, it make people feel safer. And the last one is make change normal. After we apply all these things, we check, we listen, we encourage people to talk. We also listen to those that may not speak a lot. And as leaders, you're the ones in charge of giving them voice, because sometimes they're not going to participate in really big groups. But when they have a one on one, they can share their ideas, and it's really important to take those ideas also into account. And after that, making change normal and to have and create that momentum, just like this roller coaster. Um, it, I have a secret for that, and I will share it with you. It's the 25% rule. And what's that? Yeah. Well, for any social change, we need just a 25% of the people on board at the beginning. What's that? Because we can't expect that 100% of the people are on board with us in something just because of that. So we need to start with a 25%. But you're gonna have, like, for example, if you have a team and you have the delivery manager and need to invite your team and to make them feel like they are part of something, can select the 25% of the project leads of that team on board, and then the 25% of the rest of that team on board. If you can achieve that 25%, you will create that momentum, and they will start like, hey, come in, and then out of the blue, you will see that 100% of your team is on board. And it's just to start to get momentum, and then any other change you need to face, any other thing that will be different anytime, your team will be prepared for that because they're they felt safe in the past when a change came, and they will continue feeling safe if you continue applying these tools. It's like just something that was at the beginning. I don't know if you check that. It's just like that circle that goes around like a cycle, one and another, because all of this will go to the first one and then to the last one. And that's the way we can have like people and on board that feel safe, that can innovate, that can be creative, that can be in their best performance ever, Um, so I invite you to try all these 5 steps, um, to use it in your teams. Uh, Really, it's amazing the change that you will see. And I know sometimes you say, "Hey, but when you talk about inclusion, it's about just a group or just a thing like that." No, inclusion is more than just one group, because diversity is a fact. Every one of us is different. No matter what, we are different. So diversity is a fact, but inclusion is an intentional act. It's something that we have to build together, to share with others. Don't take just to yourself, don't just to your team. Try to share always, to be always an inclusive person. And before I finish, I just want to share this quote that is from Berna Myers. She works a lot with this topic. And she said that diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. And when we talk about, when she mentioned this, like, if you just have your team, yeah, there, yeah, share ideas, that's it. But you don't do anything with those ideas, you're just inviting them to the party. But when you really take their ideas, take or encourage them to do something different, to propose things, to try new things, even though if they make mistakes, because it will be part of learning, you're asking them to dance. So, my last question for you, I want to take you this to think in your teams, to think in where you are right now, and are you inviting or are you including? And that's how we end, because I just want you to take this. And I don't know if someone has questions.
I think we do have only one question so far
Mhm.
in the chat by Juan Pablo Lara. He says, saying good morning, it's the same. I'm pretty sure he's referring to the Happy Friday moment. He said, this is not over complicate our relationships with others, especially now we are returning to the office.
So, good morning, good afternoon. Those are like respectful ways of saying hi to others. And I was just giving like the example of the Happy Friday because it involves feeling there. It's in this case, it's totally different. We all know that good morning, good afternoon. There are ways to say hi instead of like just say hi, Cami. I can say hey, good afternoon, Cami. And it's different. It's like ways when we use things and we assume others are good. For example, if you are engineer and you are talking about the technology, you're an expert in it, and you tell me, but how do you don't know how to do this? It's really easy. I'm sorry, I will not know how to do something in that technology because I'm not a technical person. That's an assumption. And that's the things we're like looking for to avoid, to try not to use, because something that may be easy for someone may not be easy for the others. So this is not about overcomplicate things. It's more about being aware of how we share things, how we communicate, and especially when we're communicated to a lot of people, like the Happy Friday.
Perfect. I don't know if you guys have any other questions or yes, go ahead, Julian. I think
Juliet,
you're muted.
yeah.
Oh, and I was saying such beautiful things. Okay, I'll start over. No, thank you. This is very enlightening, and as always, it's a pleasure to hear from you, and especially around these topics. They really touch my heart. I was remembering when I was talking to a friend of mine. I don't know if she's here, Darling. She's in my team. We were talking about how they, in fact, do ask if women are going to plan to get pregnant or if they have kids and stuff like that, because the companies are afraid that they're going to take a lot of time off, but it's usually the other way around. The guys, the men usually have more time off due to sports incidents, and they don't take that into account. They don't ask them, "Hey, do you play soccer? Because you might get, you might get a leave because you're whatever, you have to go to the hospital and stuff like that." But it's just a statistic. I don't want to talk about men versus women, but it was a statistic that is overlooked, right? They look at women's time off, but they don't look at men's time off.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. And that's right. It's and I'm not trying to do that. It's just like it's statistics and that it's more usual for women to receive this kind of comments or questions and things around that for men. And that's part of the privilege that they have that sometimes you don't know about it because it's invisible and it's okay. It's not that you have to know. It's just like we're sharing what's going on. And also the reason why also these AI tools have this bias, like sexist bias, is because only 26% of women are working in AI tools. The rest are men. So they will continue repeating the same bias.
It's that there are a couple
Okay.
comments in the chat. So, for instance, let me check. Well, first, Juan Pablo, thank you for the explanation about the other thing. And also, we have Hilbert. He says, when I worked in cable Tika, Mejenas within Labor Days were banned by the boss. By the boss, a woman just because of that. Uh, I think I read that really weird. He said, when I worked in Cable Tica, Mejenjas,
Yes.
Mejengas, within Labor Days were banned by the boss, a woman, just because of that. Okay. Um, and well, he has his hand raised. I don't know if.
Yeah, I can elaborate. Our boss used to tell us that we got forbidden apologies. That were always struggle with that. We were forbidden to go in a mehenga within the labor days because we are going to get injured. And she strictly gathered all the team and said that. So just taking the example for Giuliani. Sometimes
Yeah.
happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks.
And Adri tells me that I need to be Tico to understand it, and that's what I was thinking as well. And we have here Juan da Mesa. He says, will you recommend any quicker steps to follow and integrate to make sure you are being inclusive when sharing a message, especially to make it more conscious initially?
Well, yeah, I have actually a gem. So if you like it, I can share it with you. This gem uh, check the messages that we want to share and not change what you have, but it explains things there, like why recommends to change something and the reason, and then you decide because I'm gonna say something and continue with what the question, the previous question. Sometimes it's really like exaggerated, like it want to change everything. Like for example, if you add gapsters, it will say that this is like specific and it's like discriminatory, but that's not true. So you need to be careful because even though we have trained it to be to check only the things that are really valuable, sometimes see more than we want to. So you have to check it, but I can share it with you if you want it.
Beautiful. I don't know if you guys have any other questions, any comments. You can drop them in the chat or raise your hand. Go ahead, William.
Yeah, is just my opinion or my thought that instead of like for example banning some of the things that some activities that we enjoy. Like for example, I don't play soccer anymore because I broke my leg during working here at some business at Gap, and I know that's true when you were telling that, right? But yeah, so I don't do that anymore. But yeah, is like when you practice something, or you do something, so that thing give you joy and give meaning to your life, and that means that you can perform better at your job. So no matter if you are gonna have a baby, so that will give you joy because it's the thing that you wanted. So I think is more like understanding that no matter like who you are, is like that will bring you the satisfaction, and it's gonna like pay off like in the future, because you are gonna be in an environment that like, oh, okay, so like all the environment was set up for you, and you will feel belong to the culture, and then you will perform better and you will do better for the company. At least that is my feeling. Like,
And you're right. Actually, banning is not the right thing to do because that's just changing something that may affect us, like, and put it into others. And that's not the right way to go through things. It's just like, just don't ask, for example, if you're planning on getting pregnant, but don't ban the group of people to just go and play football if that's what they want to do. It's their free time. So it's also that, and you're right. And I think that was what you Julie's want to highlight.
Yes,
What-
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, I also leave you the feedback form in the chat if maybe you guys want to give us your feedback regarding the session. Remember that is the last one in the list. And well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, it's for this very wonderful presentation, and thank you all for being part of one more year of the Leadership Summit. This year, the Leadership and Agile Summit, and yeah, I think really appreciate the time for you to join, and really appreciate the time for it to put this together and give us such important conversation about inclusivity as well. So thank you guys, and see you in the next year.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. It's bye.